Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the I Am Podcast, episode 4, I Am Divorced. This is Ben Price, and we got our esteemed, um, top-notch, best counselor in the Southeast, Mr. Chris McClurkler. How we doing, young man?
Well, first of all, I'm doing well. Secondly, why you gonna put limitations on me like that? I'm
Oh, I'm sorry.
worldwide, brother. I'm
The nation
international.
worldwide, worldwide. Absolutely, sir.
How dare you? How dare you?
My sincerest apologies. My sincerest
Apologies
apologies.
accepted.
It is a beautiful thing, and we weren't able to share the last time, but I'm going to go ahead and say it this time. Happy 50th, sir. Like you made
Thank
50,
you.
wonderful, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And to all who took time to post on my page, Facebook page and Instagram page, I appreciate the fact that you sent those birthday well wishes. Thank you so much.
Uh, if I can hit 50 and look like you, sir, that is a blessing. That is a blessing. So we about to get into it. I am podcast episode 4. I am divorced. So this promises to be another good one. So we're gonna get started. Go ahead and get the thing going, Mr. Chris. In your professional opinion, what are some of the biggest reasons for divorce?
That's a great question. And as I thought about it, and with the counsel, the counseling that I've given couples and things of that nature, number one, I think one of the things is just a lack of communication. No, a lack of knowledge of knowing who you are as a person, knowledge of knowing the purpose of marriage, and then the knowledge of knowing how to really relate to another person. Um, as I also looked into it and reviewed, it's like, communication, like I said, communication problems. Most people think that our communication is off just because we're arguing. But an argument is still communication. It's not the healthiest communication, but it is still communication. So with that arguing or disagreeing or intense fellowship, as I like to say, there's a hope that you'll finally hear what I have to say. And so we want to move now into effective communication. Financial problems, domestic violence, um, substance abuse, and then sometimes it's difference in parenting styles. That's at the low end, but difference in parenting styles. But for the high end, it would be infidelity as well.
I like the parenting style.
Hmm.
That kind of aligns itself to me with um, how can two walk together unless they agree?
Right.
And you really have to have a conversation with someone if you are looking into marriage as to how will we parent if we are bringing children to get into this world together. How are we going to parent? If we are merging families together, especially
Hmm.
what type of parent are you? What type of parent are you? Those are things should be going. Um, and those are big, big strengths.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I don't even. I know you say that's on the low end, but I can see how that can, uh,
Impact
oh, on a
both of them.
personal level.
Oh
That
yeah.
that, that,
Hmm.
that was big for me. I think that it starts at the selection process.
Hmm.
Um, that's the biggest issue for me is that I think that we end up rushing into the marriage process and we end up choosing wrong person. Um,
Mm.
and so when we select the wrong person at the very beginning, there is no way that the marriage we can expect that the marriage to work. Um, can it work sometimes? Absolutely. Can two people grow and everything and that? Yes, all those things can happen. But when we choose wrong, we can only expect wrong at the beginning.
Hmm.
Also, like we have to recognize where we are, like are we actually marrying someone because we're lonely?
That's good.
Because if you marry someone because we're lonely, you will learn being married. Like married people are some of the loneliest people. That they have someone in the house that they
I've heard
lay
that.
to every single night, and they're lonely. Being married, if you haven't really come to love yourself, marriage will only exacerbate that
Mm-hmm.
loneliness you have within inside you. And coming back to the selection process, have we properly vetted ourselves before we got married? And then another question I like, are we even ready to be married? And I think that gets lost a lot. Are we even ready to be freaking married? So if we're not starting to asking those questions from the beginning, then we are doomed for failure all day, every day.
Yeah, one of my questions that I ask, it's something I said. You know what? Why marriage? How long y'all been together? Oh, we've been together 12 years. Why marriage?
Wow.
At what point? At what point will the marriage be a marriage because you got married?
Man, man.
I mean, seriously. But marriage, and again, I like what you said because it built off the first foundation that I said from the previous podcast of knowledge. I love when you mentioned about knowledge and love, and that the marriage based and relationship should be based on knowledge.
Mhm.
And that's the whole concept, learning of each other to make an educated decision whether or not we should be or should not be together in that context, but yet we could be friends. But marriage does not make us happy. We make our marriage happy.
Indeed. So, and I start here because to me, like one of the most consequential decisions we ever gonna make in our lives is the person that we choose to be in relationship with.
Hmm.
Um, like the closeness, the proximity this person had. Like if if
Hmm.
if you are with someone and that person day in day out, and they are not the driving force between you and your purpose, are they not sitting here pushing you beyond where it is that you're supposed to be? You going and something else that that kind of like stuck with me on this was like we hear some like you have to be an individual. I was listening to someone some bit ago, and they were talking about that singleness is should
Hmm.
be the ideal of every person, so that when you achieve when you've achieved your singleness, then you're able to give of yourself freely.
Hmm.
And like every marriage should be set with two fully single people. If
Hmm.
I'm the sun, um, and you're the sun, together we're a constellation. But if you walk away from me, then I still shine all by myself.
Hmm.
So we
Hmm.
have to ascertain to that level of singleness.
I love
Um,
that word. A pivot.
sorry. Okay, so what are um, what are some things that we should do before we get married to help alleviate the opportunity of divorce? So for myself, this is something that I thought of. I was doing some study and I was thinking about in Matthew 19. The
Hmm.
Pharisees asked the question to Jesus, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any reason? And Jesus replied, in the beginning, the Creator made male and female. So if we would go back to the beginning, Genesis 1 and 2, that's where Creator was making man. Adam was doing nothing before the fall, but operating in his purpose. Adam was doing absolutely nothing. He was naming plants, naming trees, naming animals, naming fruit. He was not worried about a woman. And while he was walking and operating in his purpose, the Creator said not to Adam, but to himself, it is not good for man to be alone. And so, because he said to himself, it's not good for man to be alone, he then in turn created and crafted a woman specifically for his needs. And the way I look at it is, if you are operating in your purpose, you won't have to worry about anybody, because the Creator is going to make that person specifically for you. You won't have to rush, wait, just operate in your purpose, and your Eve is going to be created for you. And I think that's how we miss getting divorced.
Gotcha. Being in purpose.
Purpose.
I would say, again, coming to that oneness, that knowledge, doing the work that's necessary for us to, like you said, again, live our purpose. The minute I stepped out and lived out purpose as it relates to Peaceable Solutions, along came people on my path who were there to help me, to guide me, to lead me. Whatever I need to fulfill purpose is already within me and already prepared for me. So whoever is to complement my life and whose life I'm to complement, they're already prepared for me.
Right.
And so when we're taught that and taught to rest in that knowledge, like you are your greatest asset, and you can be the best or the worst. You can be the best asset or the worst liability to a relationship.
Right.
Let alone with others, you could be your worst critic, your worst detriment, and your greatest cheerleader, and self-motivator, and mentor
Right.
to your enlargement. That relationship with yourself, and the next thing you know, now you can share the best you with someone else, man. I'm telling you, it's important. This is good. To alleviate divorce, man, when you realize that marriage is a covenant, not a contract, that's a whole nother item.
Better preach it, sir. Better preach it. And so, like, I'm with you there, and I got two other points that I want to deal with. One is, you and I were talking one day, and I loved when we were talking about this particular topic, and you were bringing up the fact that Adam and Eve never had sex before the fall because they didn't know they were naked. And so I started to think about that, in that we oftentimes will replace passion for purpose. And because I am excited sexually by someone, that took me off of my plan and my purpose as a result of the passion. But passion is going to die, purpose will not. So we cannot, I don't even want to say conflate, but we cannot replace our purpose with our passion. And I think that's one doomsday situation that a lot of us ends up finding ourselves in. And the other thing is the premarital process. So are we actually going in and getting counseling? Are we doing the premarital work? Are we like really trying to understand like what we're doing, what our roles are, understand what husband is, understand what wife is? And one thing that I think would be actually extremely beneficial is, during the premarital counseling process, is to also go and see a divorce attorney, because marriage is one of the most consequential relationships that we go, businesses that we get into, and there is no paperwork. You don't know anything. If you go to sign a car note, buy a car loan, you got 38 pages of stuff you got to read and sign. If you go do a house, you got 158 pages you got to read and sign. You'll get a license. It's a sheet of paper. And so
You know what? Now,
backing it.
go ahead. This is it.
You don't understand all the ramifications on the back end. You only see what's happening up front. So now
I'm about. Ooh, that's intense. Go ahead. Okay, you ready? Okay, so I know this is a good one here. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Catch this here. Now, notice what you said. You don't have to go through a whole lot of this, that, and the other. All you have to do is just go apply for the license, and it's approved within 5 days.
Right.
On the back end, you have to go through legalities, court, the separation and divide of assets. Now, catch this here. We're dealing with a system. Now, I gotta go there. We're dealing with a system that says when you're born, you're giving a certificate of life. Okay, so which means we have a debt on you. All right, so when you die, they give a certificate of death. That way we can no longer collect on you, but we can collect on your estate.
Correct.
Now you take two people who have two birth certificates. That means now we can expect more income from these two people. So we need to give them a license. Okay, so the license says this, that, and the other. Now, when we get divorced, there's more paperwork involved. Because we realize, just like in death, you should have accumulated some things together. This is it.
Sorry.
So now we have more paperwork to make sure that we can recollect on these two people who were together and create a certain income and circulate a certain amount of money in the economy. Now we need to figure out how it's going to be handled now. So now we got to do all this paperwork. It's the system, guys. Who can regulate when marriage starts? Marriage starts. It's a matter of the mind. It's a covenant. It's a kingdom concept. It's a kingdom concept. And I've been messing it up for years, and many of us have, others have as well. So the minute we can start saying, I realize it's not the other, it's me, sit your behind down, read a book, start applying the principles, date and realize what you died to and what you still need to die to.
Go ahead.
Get some counseling, and get your life together.
Sir.
Bruh, it's just, if we want to talk about alleviating divorce, that's eradicating divorce.
So, if you want to use to use it in the way that you just said, marriage is God's product, and you have to use God's materials in order for it to work.
Yes.
Simple as that. Simple as that. And as you kept talking, this the beautiful thing because marriage works. The problem is the man and the woman in
it. That's it. That's why I hate when people say, yeah, marriage is work. It's not. Marriage should not be work.
Should not be.
Labor. It's not work. Labor. The drudgery. Oh yeah, marriage is work, No, I know they mean well, but it's the wrong words, and words cast spells. Those who are listening, if you get it, you'll get it.
Facts. Okay. Oh, Brad, that was powerful right there. So we're in a marriage. The marriage is not working. Should we stay in a toxic situation simply because of the children? Should we stay simply because of religious obligations? What are some reasons, sir, that we should stay married, or should we not?
Let me see. I'm gonna do like they do in the spelling bee. Would you repeat the question again?
Okay. Let me give it to you again. Let me give it to you again. The marriage is not working, but we have children. Should we stay in the marriage because of the children?
And it's toxic. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. All right. That's real good. That's real good. Speaking from example, I was I'm gonna be transparent. I was in a situation where the relationship, married, and it was toxic. And it got so toxic where I didn't know it. I didn't know I hadn't elevated and grown and read as much as I do now, but I was just like it was inside, and I was like, this is not right. And so anyway, long story short, I asked the Most High. First of all, raised Pentecostal apostolic in the church that, Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Wednesday night, all this stuff. Anyway. But I said, this divorce thing, and this is when little nuggets start coming to me.
Mm-hmm.
Marriage is of God, but who we marry is not always of God. It's of God, but who we marry is not always of Him. Now,
talk, sir.
So should the person stay? We'll take the short and the long instead of the long. No. And this is
Okay.
what the Most High. This is what the Most High said to me. I remember walking through the house, and He said to me, He says, "Do I get more glory with you staying together and intoxicating the children with your malice, or do I get glory by you leaving and let me finish the work?" Religion will keep you in a place and in a situation where anger festers into wrath, and wrath festers into a CDV, a criminal domestic violence charge. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Because remember, he says, don't let the sun go down on your. He says, be angry, but sin not. Let not the sun go down on your wrath, which lets us know that anger is a God emotion that is in us as well. But wrath now means this vindication in a rage of wrath. You follow me? I can be angry and can temper that, but when I'm wrathful, it's people black out and don't know what happened. And so the thing about it is that no, God said no divorce. Yeah, but remember, that's why he gave grace. We don't abuse the grace, but that's why He gave grace, because He knew human beings were going to be trying to make kingdom decisions, and they're not going to get it right based on their human experiences or their parents who raised them according to the way the parent wanted the child to go versus the way the child should go.
Right.
Scripture simply said it this way. Since you brought up children, He says, rear up the child in the way the child should go.
Right.
Not the way you want them to go. So how should the child go? Ask me and I'll tell you how they should go, and then you will raise them accordingly.
Correct.
Each child has a different personality and purpose, man. I'm telling you, it's just what it is, man. This is good stuff. Yeah.
Sir, you jumping into the next podcast. We talk about parenting the next one, sir. Slow down. So here's why I feel on that. And I love this because that is such a common conversation, in that we will often hear people say, I stayed because of the children, right? We're still here because of the children. We put some arbitrary time on, like, okay, well, when they graduate high school, then we'll divorce or whatever. So first off, there's never a good time to divorce, right? So we can't be like, oh, well, let's just wait till they turn 18 or whatever. No, like that's not a good time. And furthermore, it is like the kids know, like
They know.
they feel when there is tension in the air between mom and dad. They
Hmm.
know when something is going wrong. There's not an age that's going to change that. Um, like there's not a like my ex-wife, she used to watch the Braxtons reality TV show, whatever it was. It's something about the Braxtons. Them women in their 40s and 50s, and they still broke up about their mama and daddy divorce. So it's to me, it's really stopping and having a real conversation with your children and saying, listen, this isn't working. What we got going on right now is not beneficial. That
Hmm.
doesn't mean me and dad don't love you. Me and mom don't love you. It just means that as a couple, we don't work out. However, the two of us together are going to be able to love you, support you, be here for you, grow, be honest with the kids and tell the kids the truth.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
perpetrating a fraud, trying to stay together when everybody knows that this thing ain't right. The kids know when
Right.
you ain't even gotta get divorced. When mom and dad is fighting, the kids know. They
You know,
start looking towards a child, a parent in whichever way to be like, hold on, something ain't right.
right.
So
You know,
go ahead, sir.
I wanted to just interject real quick. And guys, listen, I am divorced. It's one thing about the I am podcast is after the heart of the Most High. It is like, listen, these are real, bro. I'm gonna tell you something. This is some real stuff we dealing with.
Real
I'm
stuff.
telling you. I mean, we've spoken across the nation. Um, being a part of organizations and things like that, man. But the impact that we're having based on just candid, everyday conversations. And I want to share this with you that, um, see, my daughter and her mom, when we were going through our challenging time and about to, divorce, um, what happens sometimes is that the parent gravitates to a child or children, and they bleed their negative energy onto the children. The
Right.
energy is in the air. Okay. People don't want to say, "Oh, we're energy." That's that new age stuff. No, we've always been spirit, soul, then body. So the
Correct.
life force within us, the life force within us feels it. As we grow and evolve and we learn societal norms, we become argumentative. But if you look at the children, they become quiet and still because their spirit is shutting down.
Correct. Correct. Sir.
You see what I'm saying? Because that purity and that energy, that innocence, and their original uncontaminated life force is there and it's telling them instinctively, shut down, retreat. So it bleeds on them. And
Correct.
I'm gonna share this with you real quick to whoever's listening. If you have not apologized to your children and they are a child of divorce, I encourage you to go apologize to them. Now, this apology, I'm gonna tell you the reason you need to apologize is because it's going to help shut down some voids in their soul. It's
Correct.
going to help shut down voids in their soul. Remember, they're human, and the Most High chose the two of you to come together to produce this child or children. So you're still responsible to them. I don't care what society says. You're still
Right.
responsible and accountable for them. So go and apologize to them. Well, I don't know what to say. It's been so long. You know what? Ask the Most High to give you the words to say. And I
Mm.
promise you, and then also ask the Most High to orchestrate it. And He will orchestrate it and give you the words to say. And at the end, remember, He's not the author of confusion.
Correct.
There's something going on in the land right now, and Ben, you are the founder. I'm just the co-host, my brother. You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm the big brother, I'm the older brother.
You are the older brother. Yes.
But there is a text that says, "I will turn the hearts of the fathers to their children," which means the heart of the father will start seeking how to connect with their children. All right, so let's go make that happen, people who's listening. And ladies, you know what? If you desire it, you've been trying to orchestrate it and facilitate it, I want you to stop pushing and I want you to start praying and say these words. I release peace and ministering angels to the heart of their father to reach out to their children.
Mm.
I'm telling you, just do it. And then visualize what you're saying. And it will manifest. It will come to pass. It's going. This is what we do, bro.
I just want you to know that if I was in church right now, I would have threw my tambourine down and started running around, just for the record. Okay. So it would have been a hucking and a bucking. I think that's what they call it. Sir, that was beautiful. We don't realize just how much of an impact divorce has on children.
Yes.
It
Yes.
is such a huge impact on the children. And that's the reason why it's imperative that we're honest. Lying to them is going to create resentment in them towards us. I've been divorced. You've been divorced. Like and we have children as a result of our marriages. And man, when you just sit down and be honest with them and tell them the truth about what's going on and let them know, hey, listen, this was hard for us. This was hard for me. And apologize to them. I'm sorry that you're going through this. And then be there with them, reassure them, love them, care for them, be compassionate towards them, allow them the opportunity to tell you how they feel, be vulnerable to them in these moments. Those are things that are going to be critical for your children to be able to still get through this situation as well. Because divorce is not easy. And it's not easy for anybody. And it's not easy for mom and dad. And if a damn sure ain't easy for the kids. Because they think it's like they ain't had nothing to do with it. And they feel like, well, the reason what did I do? You did nothing wrong. You know, like this, like, and that you don't stay married because of the children. You have real conversations with your children. Talk.
It's you know, it's like this here, and it takes wisdom. I'm telling you, it takes wisdom.
Right.
And if you don't know, there are people who know how to assist you so that you can properly facilitate the process, you know, or get the help necessary to help the children get along through this process. You know, I think it's been about 24 years. Let me see, no, not 24 years, about 21 years, you know, and I still know that my daughter, we have candid conversations about it, you know, the impact of divorce, you know. So I pray, you know, and I've forgiven myself for it. I've even asked her mom to forgive me. It's been years ago, but yeah, for the things that I did to contribute to the divorce. And then about 20 years later, her mom asked me
Right.
to forgive for her, to forgive her as well, you know. And this is what I told her mom. I said, our common interest is our daughter, you
Right.
know. Our common interest is our daughter and her well-being, you know. Now, man, I tell you, this thing here, we're on some good stuff. Divorce is impactful. It's
It's
impactful. It really is.
extremely impactful. It's extremely impactful. And that's the reason why, like when you really think about it, it starts from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Who did we select? Who did we choose? Who did we decide that I'm going to be linked to? Because again, you don't have 300 pages of things to sign in order to get
Get
married,
married. That's right.
right?
That's
So
right.
you're not having to sign through, like you're just getting married. So if you choose wrong, the ramifications on the back end are so huge with
Yeah.
so little information in the beginning.
Correct. And that's why I ask couples, even working with them, so like, what's your profession? They tell me. I said, well, how long did it take you to get that? And they tell me whether it was how long it took. I said, wow. I said, how long how long did they put you through the rigorous process? And they let me know. And I'm like, okay, wow. Now, how long have you guys been together? Did you guys go through some training before? No, we just, I said, oh, so what did you base your marriage off of?
Right.
The way we saw somebody else. No one sits down, no one mentors, no one tells you. Man, I tell you, no one tells you what to look for. Now they can tell you they can tell you things that you're gonna
Right.
they can tell you plenty of negatives. Yeah,
All of them. All
all
of
the
them.
negatives. Yeah.
But the the work, when we talk
Hmm.
about, when you hear people saying marriage is work, the work starts from the beginning.
Yeah.
When we actually do the work in the beginning to choose the person who the creator crafted for us. Again, if we walk in purpose, they're going to be crafted for us, which means that all we got to do is be in position to receive what's been blessed to us.
Hmm.
If we choose right, marriage, the process of marriage isn't work. It's
Hmm.
making sure that we actually choose right in the beginning.
Correct. Yeah.
Sir, man, that was good stuff. So let me ask you this, sir. Again, um, counselor to the nations. Um,
Thou art redeemed, my son.
why are most divorces contentious? Mm,
You got to sip on that one.
I had to sip on that.
Well, I mean, there's hurt. There's sometimes, oh, this is powerful right here. It just came to me. Betrayal.
Betrayal. Okay.
This feeling of betrayal, maybe circumstances leading to divorce, you know. And I think it's really more the question, why is the process of divorce so contentious? The divorce isn't necessarily, divorce is decreed once the judge hits the mallet. He slams the gavel. However, divorce begins long before he says it's decreed.
Absolutely.
Long
Absolutely.
before that. So that contention is doing all during that time. All during that time, the contention, betrayal. No one, neither. Sometimes it's territorial.
Mhm.
Yeah, they care more about the material than they do the soul. Yeah, emotional abuse, physical abuse, mismanagement of money. I mean, I stuck by you. Betrayal. See that betrayal can go so many different.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, betrayal. That's why that word hit me strong. When I thought it hit me in my chest, I was like, yeah, betrayal. Hmm.
Man, sir, you listen. You taking me back to my apostolic roots. That's sitting in my honey right there. Almost again, it was another shuck and a buck that was getting ready to happen. Um, sir, like to align itself with what you're saying. It is that most of us have not healed.
Mm.
And so we have not done the work of healing prior to getting into a relationship.
Hmm.
And because we have not done the work prior to that of getting into the relationship, when we get married and the marriage dissolves, it's easy for us to lash out. It's easy because now I can take all of that anger and hurt and bitterness, frustration, angst, and just deploy that onto you.
Hmm.
Because I've never resolved, me and Ray Ray's situation. And so because I've never resolved me and Ray Ray's situation, listen, now you with me, I'm about to just go ahead and release this. What is it? Was it release the Kraken? I'm just gonna release the Kraken on you. Like the healing part of the process before we get into the marriage is tantamount to your success. If you have not actually stopped and said, you know what, before I get into my next relationship, I am going to, as I said earlier, get to that place of singleness where I am
Hmm.
able to freely share myself with you. Most of us are in relationships with people, and then the moment we hurt, we bleed on them, but we bleed on people who never cut us. And so that wound was never healed from the past. Now I'm with you. And I'm getting whatever I'm hurting from you and what I got from the past. So it just comes out in full throttle. Um, and we haven't grown from it, we haven't learned from it, we have not matured. And like when we come to a place of emotional stability, maturation, and um, awareness, so like we are able to then place the situation as to where it is. And coming back to our kids, like we, if we're in a relationship and it's so bad that we can't even like talk through the process with
Hmm.
kids involved, like we send the worst message to the kids because now the kids look at us and we are the example of how bad relationships are. And then they do nothing, train a child up in the way they should go, right? So everything we're doing every day is training our children. Now they see mom and dad and all this contention, and now they turn around and mimic the very thing that they watch mom and dad do throughout. So I'm not a person
Hmm.
who necessarily believes in generational curses per se, but we have predisposed our children to toxic relationships because we don't understand how in the world to heal first. And then if the situation doesn't work, okay, let's not be in contention when we're going through.
I can see that piece about having not healed from was it previous relationships or situations. And I want just to clarify that in no way are we implying that before you get into a relationship, you should be perfect. That's no, that
Absolutely.
is not, yeah, no, because
No.
yeah, that's not what we're implying. And I don't think that that's understood, but I just want to put that out there that that's not what we're implying anyway. Because we're growing and we're evolving. The thing about it is that if you're the constant in the equation, then if you're getting the same results, then start investing in self and then
Correct.
elevating yourself, growing and maturing in those areas. You know, ask for a mentor, ask for some, whatever the case may be, someone to coach you, whatever, and get that help. Um, as it relates to not being healed, again, that does not imply perfection. Sometimes the the wound definitely can leave a scar. That scar could be hit not the same way it was hit when it was inflicted originally, but yet there's some tenderness because the wound has healed and closed over. Um, so there's similarities, and one thing I encourage all of us to set in our mind is that all people have similarities. You know, all women have similarities, all men have similarities. Yet each one is their own person.
Correct.
So don't hold or don't project on to me. And of course, it's not, it is, as I say, easier said than done. But when you choose to develop yourself and you read the Four Agreements, the book called The Four Agreements,
Woo, sir.
you
A
know,
dope
uh,
book. I recommend
yes,
everyone read this
yes,
book.
yes, The Four Agreements. And then you start also reading this book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind. Then you'll start realizing, you know what, I'm growing. And when I grow, guess what? I'm going to attract a different type of people who complement me.
You
Now I'm gonna tell you, yeah, let's dialogue real quick on this. You remember that
go
conversation we
ahead.
had the night before when we had everything set up, but we just kept getting so many glitches
Right.
in the podcast? All right. So remember,
Exactly.
I said, we go to a store and we may see six pairs of shoes. The thing about the six pairs of shoes is this: what they all have in common is that we find them appealing in some way.
Correct.
They're all the same size, all right? They all will fit our foot, but they don't necessarily complement the purpose or the event that we are attending or what we need them for. All right. So I encourage you to not settle for what fits.
Mm,
You have to purchase. Remind you, when you have six shoes before you, you may buy between one or two or up to three. You're going to only redeem or purchase, take into possession those shoes that complement your life, either in the present, situationally, or at some point in time. You know that they're going to complement, not just fit. And you leave the ones in that store that just fit.
let me add to what you're saying. So they complement the occasion. So if I am going to, there's some people who fit for dating. There's some people who fit for relationship. There's some people who fit for marriage. All the shoes look good, but if I take home the person who was for dating and made them for marriage, that's like me wearing Jordans to a black tie affair. It's the wrong shoe for the occasion. I
Mm.
have to make sure that I choose the right fit for the right occasion. And there's some people that we're going to encounter that are strictly for us to date. Tyler Perry has a thing where he talks about, I'm not a big Tyler Perry fan, but I like when he talks about roots, branches, and leaves. And I think what happens oftentimes is that we try to take a leaf and make the leaf a root. But roots are designed to continue to dig deeper into soil to find nourishment for water and for the tree. And a leaf is only designed to provide temporary shade. So I cannot turn around and make a leaf a root because a leaf is not designed to be a root. Just like a pair of Jordans is not designed to be worn to a black tie affair. Just like a person I'm dating may not be designed to be a husband or a wife. Don't try to.
And guess what? Again, according to knowledge. Again, according to knowledge.
According to knowledge.
Because guess what? That black tie affair with those Jordans might be. If it's a quirky black tie affair, you see what I'm saying? The person.
If it's quirky.
You know, yeah, hear me though. Hear me. Those who are designed to complement our life will go the process. There's certain people who fit in, and you, it's an analogy, you know. It's not trying to be so, and I'm just talking to our audience, and not trying to be so deep and profound about it, but I think you get it. You know, be mindful of those who complement your purpose,
right?
Who can grow with, who are willing to grow with you. Man, I realize, bro, I'm at the man. I tell you, deep conversations. You realize what you're really looking for is yourself.
Is yourself.
That's what you're really looking for. You're looking for yourself. Once you find you in you, then you'll start attracting you from others. In others.
You know my line. Hey, I say it all the time. You attract your level of healing.
And that's why it's imperative to expedite that process of healing, man. It's imperative. Some people may not think it is so. People say, well, it's opinionated. Well, guess what? We live in a somewhat free country.
That's a whole other podcast, man.
I know, right? Totally. Bro, I hope you guys are enjoying this. I hope you guys are enjoying this conversation. This I am Divorce podcast, man. If you don't like it, put some chats in there. Put some. Oh yeah, put some love in there. Send some messages to us. Okay.
Beautiful.
And also share with others.
All right. Let's finish this up. We got 2 more quick points. Here's a question. Again, counselor to the world. You know, we had to fix that. So counselor to the world. From your professional experience, sir, do men suffer the same emotional trauma as women do during the divorce process?
I've never sat with anyone and interview what they felt, and that's something I've really been pondering. You know, in fact, my mentor suggested, you know, intervention in those areas of divorce and things of that nature. But anyway, long story short, I would say that they experience the same emotions. The trauma could be the trauma of betrayal. So, I mean, being human, it can come from either person or party or partner. But I would say they experience some of the same feelings and fears, uncertainty, the stigma of divorce. You know, how were our mutual friends, you know, going to, how do I interact with them? You know, our mutual friends. So I would say, yeah, they experience some of the same emotional challenges.
So I listen.
Or similar.
Mm-hmm. I'm all about dismissing myths. Okay. So divorce is hard.
Hmm.
Um, as a man who's been um, married for half of my whole life, I've been married 2 times. I'm 44 years old. I've been married for 22 of those years. Been with one woman for 24 of those years. Actually, longer than that. Um, 15 years from my first marriage, 7 years. Divorce is hard. Like, I struggle with the notion of being divorced. Um, and men struggle with being divorced. It's like the myth is the narrative is that oh well, men don't care, men are turn around and leave and just be with somebody else and blah 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 blah. No, men hurt too. Men cry too. Men feel pain too. Men feel all of these same emotions that the
Hmm.
women feel. And the reason why we feel that is because divorce is a death. Marriage is life, divorce is death. And so anytime someone or something dies, parties involved feel pain. Divorce is not easy on anyone. Now, the problem with a lot of men, and this is what I think where part of this is conflated and a little bit distorted, is that we don't really understand how to emote properly because we're not taught from an early age how to deal with our emotions. So when I fall and skin my knee, they tell me not to cry. Or I didn't make the team on the basketball squad, then oh what boy, don't worry about that. Like I've never been taught to really deal with my emotions. But to even suggest that men don't feel the same things that women feel during this process is ludicrous. I'm a
But
person.
I
Go ahead.
go ahead. Well,
No,
I think that's where there's just a disconnect as relates to the emotions. And again, like you stated, that some men have not been um, taught, demonstrated to, or even allowed to express their emotions. When working with couples, I ask the men how they feel. Now, mind you, we are accustomed to giving short, one word answers, sometimes short phrases, succinct answers. And guess what? We still not really conveying it. So the more she digs, it's like, we get agitated. So what I do is I lift up an emotions chart. They have a plethora of emotions to choose from to help convey what it is they feel, you know?
right.
And so that's just one way I help and assist men to convey, because one thing about it, let me tell you something, my brothers who are loving yourselves and who are appreciating yourselves, and then also our sisters who are supporting us. We thank you so very much for that support. Um, the thing about it is that don't shut down and allow a woman saying you're too emotional. Okay, don't accept it and just say, you know what, I am not too emotional, because now that implies extreme. I am I am emotional. I have emotions
Right.
and I feel them and I am attuned to them. And I am proud of myself that I can express my emotions, because when I suppress, I can explode. I
Right.
choose to express with intelligence, you know? And so, yeah, I'm telling you, there's so many different factors, but we feel it. I mean, I remember my friend, um, we were rooming at the time, and he said, "Man, I bought you a steak." And I was like, he bought me a steak and some wine. And guess what? I ate it, but I couldn't enjoy it. It was final. It was just like the point of no return.
You, we feel the same things.
And let me add this too.
Go ahead.
Whether we caused it or it was caused by the partner, guess what? Our spouse. Some men still feel it. Some don't. Some could care less. But some men,
Some men
they
feel
do.
it. And hold on, let me not say some men. I'm going to say most. Because one thing, and this ties into our last point. Because, as a matter of fact, let me bring this in because it all kind of ties together. So, last question is why do women file for divorce at such an higher alarming rate than men? Okay, so the numbers are 53% of marriages end divorce. So it is more likely that when you get married, you're going to be divorced than for you to stay married. The plurality says such. With those numbers, 80% of divorces are filed by women. And when that number goes to college degreed women, it jumps to over 90%. So bringing these two conversations together, the narrative is that men are homewreckers and mess up the marriage. But if we actually look, and I may sound a little misogynist. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm biased. I'm sorry. But I'm just going by the numbers. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Okay. So the narratives that men are homewreckers and mess up the marriage. But if we actually look at the numbers, women file for divorce at an extremely higher rate than men. Why are women filing for divorce so much more than men? And this ties into how men feel in marriage.
Honestly, you put out a lot of information, and don't get me wrong, I knew the percentage of 53% marriages end in divorce. So your marriage you stand more of a chance of being divorced than you do of staying married. But then these other numbers in here, like at what point are they moving into demographics? Are they, you follow me, this, that, and the other? So I
Right?
don't like, 2 plus 2 doesn't lie and 4 plus 4 doesn't lie. But statistics, I never liked them when I was in college, and I don't like that. That was funny. I ain't gonna lie.
Statistics
That
are
was funny.
statistics, sir. I
I
mean, you
don't.
can't change that.
Statistically speaking, which means is that everybody? Come on, man, please. Anyway, I'm not.
All
Not
right.
don't get me wrong. No, I. I don't like this. I just don't like statistics. So anyway,
Okay.
with that being said,
All right.
With that being said, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying. With that being said, um, um, yeah, when you start moving in factors like that, why are women? If that's the case. Uh,
Come
Why
on, counselor
social
to the
media?
world.
There's so many. There are very. You know what? There are many variables that can influence that.
Correct.
It could be social media. It could be he's not acting right, and he's been given an opportunity, and she was willing to carry the load. I mean, I'm just saying. And he act like a fool, jackass. It could be she's not mentally stable. Just so the very different factors involved.
Okay. So that's fine. Listen,
It's my answer.
listen, you're a counselor to the world, so I'll just go ahead and be the ass. That's
Okay.
okay. So, like, think about this. again, I like to deal in narratives because narratives tell us something that very akin to to stereotypes. There's always some truth in a stereotype, even though it's not fully true. And the same thing goes with narratives. I'm not saying that men, uh, a lot of men will find a place that is comfortable and they will stay in that comfort and won't move from it. And a woman says, "This doesn't serve me." Like, I get it. I'm not saying that it's not true. Let's look at the numbers, though. The numbers say pretty much 4 out of 5 women file for divorce. And if it is college degreed women, and there are more college degree women than men, that 9 out of 10 women file for divorce. You cannot tell. The narrative is out here that men are homewreckers, men don't do what they're supposed to do, like men don't blah, 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 all this other kind of crap, right? You cannot say that this is the case in the vast majority of every situation. You just can't say that. Now, because the same narrative applies to where a woman says, "Well, you know what? I'm leaving you because you're not doing this, you're not doing that." Same narrative jumps into, well, man is happy and comfortable. Like, all these things come into it, but why is the man never leaving? This is something that I'm thinking about. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm not like anti-women or anything like that. I love women. Just want y'all to know, I love women. Okay, so so I think that men have been given the scapegoat that we don't do nothing. And so because men don't do anything in a relationship, women turn around and say, "This doesn't serve me any longer and I'm leaving." When in reality, you was bringing up reasons why we divorce early on, like infidelity. Women cheat, if not more than, at least at the same clip as men. Women do unscrupulous things as much as, if not more than, men. Like anything that a man does, a woman does also. Man decides that he is going to love a woman. Literally, our love language is to give you and do for you fully whatever it is that you need in that moment. When a man gets to that place with a woman, that's why a lot of us are slow to get to a place with that woman. But when we do, you got my whole deal. And I don't think that women necessarily come to the same place emotionally, like to the same best station emotionally as men do. And they find it easy to say, "All right, listen, I'm gonna just go ahead and pull out of here. I'm gonna go, like, you're not serving me." Now let's get one thing understood. If you choose a man who plays PlayStation all day long and then marry that same man who plays PlayStation all day long, that's not a man issue, that's a you issue. You chose a man who decided to play PlayStation all day long. So I'm not saying that there aren't narratives that match, but also you got to take accountability for your actions. But all the things that men get criticized for, women do the same thing. They do it to men. I have been privy to a lot of experiences with women, and we can't turn around and say that it's only men that are causing all this mischief, and women are just like fed up and walking out leaving. It goes, but people. One of my good friends, Miss Jeremy Jackson, she has this line that says, "People be peopling," and I feel
I like that.
that's just the truth. People be
I
people.
like that.
Not men be
People be
men and
people.
women be women and people be people.
Wow, I like
But
that. I like that, Jeremy. One of our greatest supporters. Once upon the inception of course, the podcast. Yeah, it is a. I mean, like I said, statistics, man. But like it's when we don't know who we are as people. No, I'm not trying to brush it off, but I'm serious because as you bring it home, the summation is that people be people.
correct.
You know, when you value yourself as a person, and then you're able to value other people as well and see their worth. You know, um, when it comes to finding that, hmm, yeah, um, finding that that wife that blesses you, and then wife being found by a husband who's been searching for her. He knows who he is, and he also knows what he should be looking for. You know, it'll gravitate to you. Yeah.
I will say this. Um, because I know I'm gonna get some kickback. And I know somebody's gonna be sitting here looking at me like, oh, he biased, or he this, he that. Listen, at the end of the day, I am an equal opportunity um I guess killer or whatever you want to call it. Like men do dumb stuff just like women do dumb stuff, which is why I love the line people be people. Uh, you know, at the end of the day, it really, really comes down to what are you doing from the very beginning? Are you doing your process? Are you focusing on the areas for yourself that need to be healed? Are you selecting the right person? Are you growing together with said person? Like, if you're doing those things, divorce, as you said, is not alleviated, it is eradicated.
Educated. That's right.
Right? So we have to make sure that we're doing our part, our work in the process. And the more that we do our work in the process, then we don't end up in divorce. But
Hmm.
if you put your pleasure and your passion ahead of your purpose, then you are going to reap the benefits of that which you have sown.
Right. Right.
You've sown pleasure, and now you're going to reap the benefit of pleasure. But if you sow purpose, you will reap the benefit of purpose.
Hmm.
And we have to be mindful of what it is that we are doing, accountability for what we do. And then once we put that into the ground, that's what's going to reap. If you if you sow pleasure, you're gonna reap the benefits of pleasure. It's gonna be good for a season until it's no longer good. But if you
Hmm.
sow purpose, you're going to reap purpose. That's not a man thing. That's not a woman thing. That's a people thing, a person thing. You are
Hmm.
for the things that you do.
Good podcast, man. Good podcast, bro.
So, Mr. Chris, first off, before I get to you, listen, thank you all for joining us, talking to us, listening to us.
Yes.
Like this is a
Yes.
beautiful, beautiful thing. We changed platforms because we was having so many issues with our previous platform, and now with this particular platform, this is so beautiful. We expect to grow and do way more things with this, and I'm so excited. So thank you, StreamYard, for this, and we're definitely going to be moving forward with this platform. It's so wonderful. And thank you all, because I promise you, like, this is a labor of love for us, and we love each and every one of you to life for joining us. So, Chris, sir, Mr. McClurkin, how can someone reach you for Peaceable Solutions?
Well, Mr. Visionary, if you guys want to get in contact with me, of course, you can reach me at www.peaceablesolutions.com. Again, that's all together, of course, www.peaceablesolutions.com, or you can reach out to me at 803-386-9842, 803-386-9842. Love to you all. Perfect wealth, perfect health, perfect self-expression, and perfect love. We look forward to seeing you. Listen, Ben, tell them the platforms we're on, because we don't want them to miss a great opportunity to hear the replays.
Listen, so we are on all of the platforms when it comes to podcasts: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We are on YouTube as well under the I Am Podcast. So, and we are going to continue to grow this. I just want to tell you all thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I'm telling you, we do nothing without you. But with you, we are better and we are stronger. And this whole process for us literally has been nothing but a labor of love. And because we love people, we turn around and pour ourselves back into you. And, you know, there's a scripture that talks about how we are, dang it, why am I drawing a blank right now? Because of our lack of knowledge.
We're destroyed for the lack of knowledge.
Destroyed for our lack of knowledge. And we just want to provide knowledge. That's it. And so that is precisely what it is that we do. We just give knowledge. And again, we love you all to life. I cannot wait to see what's next. Coming up after this, man, we're going to be doing I Am Parent. And that's going to be something that's going to be fun. That's going to be a discussion. You're probably going to see a whole lot of us, because I can assure you, this is not, that's a real comprehensive conversation. And I'm excited to see what comes from that. So from my man, Mr. Chris, Peaceable Solutions, look him up, Chris McClurkin, Facebook, Instagram, peaceachoice at gmail.com, peaceablesolutions.com. Look him up, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I cannot wait to see you next time. Any last words, sir?
Just want to let you know I'm proud of you, man. Just want to let you know I'm proud of you.
Listen, this has been so beautiful. I appreciate each and every one of you. Can't wait to see you next time. And let's not forget Thursday Thoughts, Monday Message, and Wednesday Word coming to you every single week. Until the next time we meet, we are not looking for you to for this to be easy. We just want you to be better. Love, peace, and hair grease.